In the half-light before dawn, after escaping the master's abuse, I sit in my tiny chamber enhancing my literacy skills with books, quills, and paper stolen from Master Bernard's study. Eloquence of speech is also a powerful social influencer, and I practice mimicking the refined voices of Barbados's English aristocracy. Unbeknownst to Master Bernard, I read and write and can speak like a refined English woman. Secret weapons I've not yet had the chance to use.
My son George is useless and lazy. After months at the plantation, he's learned nothing and refuses to commit. I'd thought by now the boy would be capable of running the farm with the help of the overseer, Wilbert Olson. But George won't work. I must leave for a brief business trip to London, and I order him to take responsibility, but George whines to go home. "This is your home," I tell him. "You're staying and you will learn the sugar trade."
I hate this godforsaken island. Apart from the available and ample supply of females, Barbados has nothing to entertain a young English lad. I am miserable and homesick, but father won't listen. He returns to London this week, leaving me here to run the plantation. I'll do nothing. Olson can run the farm, Mary can run the house, and I'll do as I please.
In 1802, Master Bernard returned from a trip to London and callously informed me my daughter Sarah was dead. I cried with grief, but I didn't believe it was true. Sarah had witch doctor powder. I'm convinced she used it to fake her death and escape. I must get to England to find Sarah. Master Bernard leaves for another visit to London and places his fool of a son George in charge. Soon, I too will sail to London.
Father is barely in England a day before he dispatches a letter to Barbados, ordering me back to London. He says mother is ill and weeps for her only son. Strangely, father also wants me to bring Mary to London to nurse mother, probably because he doesn't want to pay for an English nurse. I know I should be worried about mother, but I'm just too damned excited to be going home to think of anything else. I just hope I don't have to return to Barbados.
The letter from England is a fake. I forged Master Bernard's handwriting and wrote the missive in my room. What an obliging idiot is young Master George. He pays for my ticket and makes my escape safe and carefree. In my basket, I squash a dress and a worn hooded cape. Into my bodice, I slip false papers and a wad of 10-pound notes I stole from Master Bernard's office. And so I begin the first stage of my journey to find Sarah. The long sea voyage saps my energy and leaves me weak. But when we finally berth in London, I am one of the first to scurry down the gangplank and rush into customs for quick processing. I want to be out on the street before young Master George knows I'm missing, but he's on the ship's deck waiting and spots me on the dock. He raises an alarm with the false claim I'm a thief, and an officer pulls me from the line in the custom hall while we wait for George to reach us.
Mary thought she could escape me, but I caught her in the nick of time. I inform the officer she's my father's property and ask him to hand her over. But the obstinate man refuses and manhandles me when I seize the runaway.
The cheek of this boy. Everyone's free in England, and this woman is no man's property. But I decide to hold the woman until the boy's father arrives, in case there's a problem with her papers and he can confirm her identity.
A message is sent to Master Bernard to attend the customs house. My legs begin to tremble, and I clasp my hands to keep them still. The officer who shielded me from young Master George ushers me into an office, away from the curious scrutiny of other passengers. When my back is to the Englishman, I deftly retrieve the falsified papers from my bodice and pray to my ancestors to keep me safe. If Master Bernard snares me now, I am lost.
Damnation! Stupid, foolish, idiot George fell for Mary's tricks and brought her to London. I'm too angry to think what I'll do to him, but I've no doubt about what I'll do to Mary. By God, that minx will pay for this.
The boy's father, Bernard Randolph, arrives at the customs house, purple of face and ready to explode. The woman and I confront him as we walk from the office, and the brute would strike her if I didn't intervene. I inform him I've viewed Mary's papers and can confirm she's a free woman, come to England to seek work. His eyes bulge, and when Mary derides him in her clear, cultured voice, Mr. Randolph almost chokes on his spit and looks ready to commit murder.
Master Bernard is powerless to stop me leaving the customs house for London's busy streets. The officers are forced to restrain him as I walk from the building, my legs shaking under my skirts but my head held high. Infuriated, Master Bernard screams his determination to find me, no matter where I go, no matter how long it takes. If he is successful, Master Bernard will kidnap and punish me most cruelly. He will probably kill me.
Making no mention of the embarrassing circumstances surrounding my return from Barbados, I enlighten everyone on my improvements to the plantation. Luckily, they'll never know the truth, and I'm safe to boast to my heart's content.
My son, George, is over-talkative. I'm glad my husband, Bernard, didn't attend the christening. He's furious with George, whom he says shouldn't have left Barbados. George's crowing would make matters worse.
I don't believe George's high tales for a moment. The boy's too lazy to get out of his own way. His sudden return from Barbados has us all wondering, but George fields our questions with vague, senseless reasons for his departure.
George gets uncomfortable with our questioning looks at his supposed successes in Barbados and turns the conversation to our new company in Paris. He questions our involvement with a Frenchman, claiming all the French hate us because of the war, the mention of which sees August retreat into silence. But George is too selfish to notice August's withdrawal, and the little brat wheedles an invitation to stay with me in France so he can give his approval or disapproval of our new French partner, Monsieur Blanchette.
August and Dorothy's child comes into the world. It's a girl, but I'm not disappointed. Little Eliza is the most beautiful baby ever born. Her christening is a grand affair, held in my home in Berkeley Square. My brother Bernard is noticeably absent, but his wife Sophia and his son, my nephew George, are here. George is a little drunk and bragging about his amazing achievements during his short stay on Bernard's plantation in Barbados.
Father is consumed with finding Mary. He's ordered me not to speak of her, especially to Uncle Herbert, and he hides his obsession with his runaway from my mother. He wants me to return to Barbados immediately. After a heated argument, however, he allows me to travel to Paris with my cousin Daniel to look over the French branch of Randolph and Sons. But Father agrees to a month only in Paris, and then I'm back to that accursed Caribbean island.
Upon arrival at my townhouse in Paris, I refuse George's request to supply a woman of the night. The cocky boy just laughs and strides out alone into the evening mist. I love George, but already desire his departure.
Not far from Daniel's townhouse, my way is obstructed by a woman of the night. She's not up to my standard and I brush her off, but turn when she nods to someone behind me. Thinking Daniel's changed his mind, I look for my cousin, only to spy a strange fellow who, upon my sighting of him, dashes off into the darkness. I backtrack to Daniel's townhouse to report the stalker, only to see another prowler, taller and heavier, stalking Daniel, who walks in the opposite direction.
Daniel Randolph leave his main du riz away in the opposite direction his cousin George traveled 5 minutes ago. He slipped from my cover and softly fall in line behind Daniel. My boss want me to follow him to confirm his destination.
Catching Daniel's stalker will impress Father. I don't doubt my heroism will overshadow my embarrassing mistake with Mary. I collect a rock and sneak up behind Daniel's stalker, but the moment I'm about to strike, Daniel, who is unaware of anything happening behind him, knocks at a cafe door and then enters that place of ill repute. Astonished, I gasp, and unwittingly alert Daniel's stalker to my presence.
I'm hidden in the shadows peeing on Daniel Randolph when that stupid English boy, George Randolph Mac and was behind me and he spin to face him. George now lies at my feet. If he isn't dead, he soon shall be.
I am Antelope, renamed Mary. Watch for further episodes or read the complete saga of my incredible journey. Antelope by Marea Whitley. Available at Amazon and other online bookstores.